I used to believe that family meant everything. That no matter what life threw at you, blood would always have your back. My name is Isla, and I learned far too late that sometimes your biggest heartbreak doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people who once kissed your forehead goodnight. I was the dependable one, the one who picked up the phone when no one else did. When my parents found their dream house, a cozy 2-story just outside the city, they were short on the down payment. My dad's credit was shot, and my mom had retired early due to health issues. Without hesitation, I stepped in. I had been saving for my own place for years, cutting corners, skipping vacations, even picking up freelance work after my regular job. But I didn't think twice. I put my name on the paperwork, signed the mortgage with them, and handed over nearly every dollar I had. They cried when I did it, told me I was their angel. My sister, Samira, even hugged me tight and promised, "We'll never forget this, Isla." I believed her. God, I really believed her. For a while, things felt good. We made memories in that house. Family barbecues, movie nights, birthdays with too much cake and not enough chairs. I felt like I had built something solid with them, something lasting. We were close, or so I thought. Then came the text. It popped up on our family group chat late one night. I had just finished folding laundry and was about to head to bed when my phone buzzed. I looked down and saw it. "You're dead to us. Our lawyer will call you. Your sister never let us down. We don't need you." I read it twice. My heart stopped, like someone had yanked the floor out from under me. The people I bled for, starved for, stood by when they had nothing. They had cut me off with a message. No phone call. No warning. Just that. I stared at the screen, numb. I should have screamed, cried, called them in a rage. But I didn't. Instead, I just replied, "As you wish." I sat there for a long time, staring at that glowing message on my phone screen. My fingers went cold. My mind couldn't catch up with the cruelty. It was as if my heart knew something terrible had happened, but my brain was still asking, "Is this real? You're dead to us." Not even a sentence, really. Just a sharp blade disguised as words. They didn't even address me by name. My own parents, they chose my sister, Samira. Again, apparently, Samira had been complaining for months behind my back, whispering poison into their ears, accusing me of controlling everything just because my name was on the house papers. She had always been the golden child, the one with the big smile and the bigger lies. She knew how to twist things until the truth bent around her like a ribbon. The message wasn't just emotional, it was legal. "Our lawyer will call you." They didn't want to talk to me like human beings. They wanted to handle me like a threat, a problem to be erased. I had no idea what Samira had told them, but it didn't even matter. They believed her, fully, without question. The worst part, there wasn't even hesitation in their words. No second guessing, no space for explanation. Just a clean, cold cut. I sat alone in my tiny apartment, the same one I'd kept so I wouldn't intrude on their privacy in the house I helped buy, and suddenly I felt like a stranger to my own life. Every moment I had invested in them, every dollar, every sacrifice, burned in my memory like ashes in the wind. But I didn't cry. Not then. I knew that if I let even one tear fall, I'd collapse. And they didn't deserve to see me broken. So I typed my response, "As you wish." And then I set the phone down calmly, quietly. My hands stopped shaking. I stood up, took a breath, and walked to the kitchen, not to cry into a pillow, but to pour myself a glass of water and start thinking. Because if they wanted to make this legal, then so would I. I wasn't born with much, but I worked hard, harder than most. While other kids partied after college, I took double shifts and freelanced late into the night. I had a simple goal: save enough to build something lasting for the people I loved. My family didn't have wealth, but I believed if I gave enough, held tight enough, we could rise together. When my parents found the house, they were hesitant. It was out of reach, even with the seller offering a deal. But I saw the look in my mother's eyes as she stood on that front porch, imagining grandkids running around the garden. My father looked proud, but I could tell he was quietly calculating every dollar they didn't have. That night, I offered to help. "I've been saving," I told them. I can cover the down payment. We can put the mortgage under my name. It'll be our house." My mother cried, My dad hugged me in a way he hadn't since I was a little girl. Samira clapped like a child at a birthday party. Isla, she said, you're actually saving us. Back then it felt like love. But that wasn't all. A year later, Samira fell into a financial hole after quitting her job to follow her entrepreneurial dreams. She maxed out 3 credit cards, had debt collectors calling her, and didn't know where to turn. She came to me, of course. I just need a few thousand to keep the lights on, she begged. Please don't tell Mom and Dad. So I wired her the money. Not once, not twice, but 5 times. I drained what little I had left for a vacation or even a used car because, well, she was my sister. I figured one day she'd find her footing and maybe say thank you. She never did. Then came Dad's stroke. It hit him hard, and my mom couldn't manage everything on her own. So I took time off work, drove him to appointments, argued with insurance, even sat through terrifying nights in the ICU just so she wouldn't have to do it alone. They said, "You're our rock." They said, "We'll never forget this." But they did. All of it. The money, the time, the love, the hours I gave up building my own life to hold theirs together. I never expected anything in return. Just loyalty. Just the truth. Just for them to stand beside me if things got hard. Instead, the moment Samira decided I was inconvenient, they chose her lies over my loyalty. And all those nights I thought I was helping my family, turns out I was just building a house for people who never planned to let me stay. As you wish. That's all I said. No yelling. No begging. No long paragraphs explaining myself or trying to correct their twisted version of the truth. Just 4 simple words. I sent the message and watched the 3 dots appear on the screen for a second, then disappear. No one replied, not even a fake moment of guilt. They probably thought they won, that I'd slink away quietly, humiliated and defeated, carrying the weight of a broken family on my back once again. Maybe they picture me sobbing in a corner, replaying their words until I apologized for sins I never committed. But they didn't know me, not really. What they didn't realize was I'd already mourned them. Long before that text ever came, I had felt the slow drip of distance, the coldness behind their smiles, the way Samira twisted every situation into her advantage. I had hoped, prayed, and worked to keep us together. But that text? That was the funeral. I buried the idea of us that night. The next morning, I put on a clean blouse, tied my hair back, and walked into my lawyer's office like a woman who had nothing left to lose, only dignity to reclaim. Mr. Rahman, a family lawyer I had consulted years ago when helping my parents with a mortgage, recognized me instantly. Isla, everything okay? I smiled. It will be. I need to make a change to some property documents. He blinked. The house! I nodded. Yes, I want my name off it. His eyes widened. You helped purchase it. That would mean. I know exactly what it means. I wasn't handing it to them out of kindness. I wasn't walking away because I was weak. I was playing the long game. You see, the house still had a clause in the deed, one that stated any removal or transfer of ownership required full consent and renegotiation of loan responsibility. Without me on the documents, they'd have to refinance from scratch. But their credit? Their income? It wouldn't be enough. Mr. Rahman looked over the paperwork carefully. Do you want to warn them? No, I said firmly. Let their lawyer call me. Let him panic first. He smirked and began drafting the forms. In that moment, I felt no anger, no sadness, just clarity. For once, I wasn't trying to be the fixer. I wasn't begging to be seen or heard. I was taking back control, not through revenge, but through strategy. Let them believe I was done. Let them think silence meant surrender. Because when you've been underestimated your whole life, the most powerful thing you can do is smile quietly and change the rules of the game when no one's looking. What they didn't know, what no one in my family had bothered to understand, was that I had never fully given them the power they thought they had over me. Sure, I put my name on the mortgage, signed the paperwork in good faith, and did what I thought was right. But there was something I never told them, something they took for granted because I never needed to flaunt it. I hadn't signed away my legal claim to the property. I was still the primary holder on the deed. My family had been so quick to push me aside, to assume I would quietly slip into the shadows. But in reality, I'd been keeping my options open. I knew exactly what I was doing when I helped them with the house. I had always been cautious, even in my generosity. I wasn't a fool. When I arrived at Mr. Rahman's office that morning, the plan started to fall into place. He was already drafting the necessary documents to formally remove my name from the house deed. He didn't ask questions about why I wanted it done so quietly, and I appreciated that. He had always been professional, treating me like a client, not a naive young woman who'd been taken advantage of. As he worked through the paperwork, I sat back, my mind replaying everything. The phone calls I'd made for them when they were stuck in traffic. The nights I stayed awake, making sure their health insurance was sorted out. The money I had given over and over again like it was nothing. And now they wanted to erase me from their lives like I was just some passing inconvenience. But they didn't realize they were dealing with someone who understood the fine print. My name was on the deed, but it wasn't just an ownership claim. It was a position of power. And once my name was removed from the house paperwork, they would lose the legal ability to control the property the way they thought they could. Without my consent, the house wasn't theirs. Not legally. I could have made a scene. I could have gone to them, told them what I was doing, and made sure they knew how I was playing my cards. But I didn't. I wanted them to feel the full weight of their mistake, the shock when they realized they couldn't fix this with a simple phone call or lawyer's letter. After I signed the final forms, I handed them back to Mr. Rahman, feeling a strange sense of peace. The paperwork would take a couple of days to process, but once it was done, the house would be legally up for grabs again. They wouldn't be able to refinance. They wouldn't be able to sell it, and I would be the one holding the power. But I wasn't looking for revenge. I was simply taking back what I had given. Quietly, methodically. They would soon learn that what they had taken for granted had cost them more than they could ever have imagined. 2 days later, I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing off the hook. The number on the screen was unfamiliar, but something in my gut told me it was about to be important. I picked up, still half asleep, trying to shake the haze of the morning. "Hello." The voice on the other end was frantic, breathless. "Aila? It's Mr. Kareem, your family's lawyer." My stomach dropped. My name was on the tip of his tongue, and the panic in his voice was unmistakable. "Aila, we need to talk. Immediately. This is a serious situation." I sat up in bed, my heart racing. "What's going on?" There was a pause before he spoke again. "The property paperwork. You legally removed your name from the deed." I felt the corner of my lips curl into a quiet smile. "Yes, I did." He sputtered in disbelief. But Aila, you can't just do that. You helped buy the house. Your family's relying on that property. Without your name on the deed, they can't refinance, they can't sell it, they can't even make the mortgage payments without your approval." I leaned back against the pillows, my voice calm. "I understand. That's why I did it." His voice rose in panic. "This isn't just a minor legal misstep, Aila. You've completely cut them off from any claim to that property. Without you on the deed, they technically don't own it anymore. They have no legal right to the house." I could hear him tapping away at his keyboard, probably scanning through the legal documents like they were some unexpected disaster. "You've put your family in a very difficult situation," he continued, his tone softer, almost pleading. "If they don't fix this quickly, they could lose everything." My hands were steady, not shaking with guilt or fear as they might have expected. Instead, I felt calm, detached, a feeling I had been craving since that text had first landed in my inbox. "I'm sure they'll figure it out," I said softly. "I'm sure they'll manage." His frustration grew. "Aila, please, think about what you're doing. You're jeopardizing your entire family's future over this. They're not prepared for this kind of fallout. We're talking about a total financial disaster. They can't even access the house without you. You've left them essentially homeless. And for what? You've got to undo this." I knew exactly where he was coming from. He was trying to pressure me into reversing my decision. Maybe he thought I was angry. Maybe he thought I was hurt. But I wasn't. This wasn't about anger or pain anymore. This was about standing up for myself. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to fix everything. I wasn't trying to hold it all together for them. I had given enough. And now they would feel the consequences of taking me for granted. "I've made my choice," I said, my voice firm. I'll leave it to you and your clients to figure out how to fix it. I hung up before he could say anything else, my fingers hovering over the phone for a moment. The weight of the decision didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt freeing. The chaos, the panic on the other end of that call, that was their burden now, not mine. I had simply taken back what was mine, and the reality of their mistake was just beginning to set in. I wasn't surprised when they showed up at my door. I knew it was only a matter of time. They had underestimated me, written me off, convinced I'd just roll over and beg them to take me back. But this wasn't a moment of weakness for me. It was a moment of clarity. It was late afternoon when I heard the knock. I knew exactly who it was before I even opened the door. Samira stood there first, her eyes red, face blotchy from crying. Behind her, my parents lingered, their expressions a mix of desperation and disbelief. Samira's voice trembled as soon as she saw me. Isla, please, you've got to fix this. You have to put your name back on the deed. We can't lose the house. We'll figure things out, I promise. We were wrong. We're sorry. Her words came in a rush, like a flood of guilt that she hoped would wash away her betrayal. I watched her, not with anger or sorrow, but with a detached calmness that shocked even me. I'm sorry. I asked softly, as if I hadn't heard her clearly. You're sorry. She nodded, sniffling. Yes, I know we've hurt you. But Isla, we need you. You've always been there for us. Please don't do this. You can't let us lose everything. My father spoke up, his voice cracking with urgency. Isla, listen to us. We don't know how to fix this without you. We're your family. You can't just throw everything away. Please, we need your help. I looked at them one by one, feeling the weight of the words they had texted me only days ago. You're dead to us, I whispered, my voice barely audible, but the impact of those words echoed between us. That's what you said, remember? Those exact words. You're dead to us. Our lawyer will call you. Your sister never let us down. We don't need you. Their faces froze in shock, and for a moment it felt like time stood still. I could see the regret in their eyes, the realization of the gravity of their actions slowly dawning on them. But there was no turning back now. I wasn't some backup plan they could fall back on when their world crumbled. I don't need you to need me anymore, I said, stepping back slightly to close the door, but holding it open just enough to make my point clear. You made your choice. You cut me out when I was your last resort, your backup. You kicked me to the curb. And now, you want me to fix it for you. I could see my father's hands shaking, his face twisted in a desperate plea. Isla, don't do this. We're sorry. We need you. Please, I'll make it right. I shook my head, cutting him off. No, you don't get to erase what you did, not with an apology. Not with tears. You made your choice, and now you deal with the consequences. I'm done fixing everything for you. I could see Samira's face crumple, tears spilling down her cheeks, but I couldn't find it in myself to comfort her. The betrayal had been too deep, too ingrained for me to forgive them with a simple apology. Goodbye, I said, my voice firm. I hope you figure it out, but I won't be the one to save you this time. And with that, I closed the door. Not out of anger, but out of finality. There was no going back, not for me, not for them. They had crossed a line they couldn't come back from. I never intended to destroy them. I didn't want to watch them crumble under the weight of their own actions. That wasn't my style. I wasn't interested in revenge. No, what I did was far more satisfying, far more meaningful in the long run. I wasn't about to burn bridges. I was simply going to walk away from a family that had already let me go. The first thing I did was sell the house. It wasn't just about the money. It was about ownership, about taking control of my life and taking away what they had so carelessly assumed they had a right to. The house was still legally mine, after all, and while they floundered in their panic, I remained calm, composed. There were no second thoughts, no wavering on my decision. I sold it quickly for a price that was more than fair, but still one that would leave my family scrambling. The proceeds, well, they weren't for me. Not entirely. I donated a significant portion to a women's shelter that I had volunteered at a few times in the past. It felt like the right thing to do, a powerful, healing way to use the money. The shelter had helped so many women escape abusive situations, find new starts. I wanted to support them, to give other women the kind of empowerment I was learning to embrace for myself. The rest of the money? That went into my own future, my new life. I invested it wisely, real estate, a bit of stock. It wasn't about the wealth. It was about security, independence, the kind of future I had never been able to imagine when I was always focused on everyone else. As for my family, well, they were left to deal with the fallout. It was a painful thing to witness, but they had made their bed, and now they had to lie in it. I stayed far away from them in the days that followed. The calls came, the apologies, the letters from their lawyer, full of threats and desperate pleas. They begged me to reverse the sale to give them back their home. They tried to manipulate me, appealing to my sense of guilt, my supposed sense of responsibility. But I didn't answer. I ignored it all. I refused to let them back into my life, not because I was heartless, but because I had learned the hard way that I couldn't let anyone hold that kind of power over me anymore. Weeks passed, and as I settled into my new apartment, I realized how peaceful it was, how truly free I felt. I wasn't weighed down by the constant pressure of being everyone else's savior. I wasn't responsible for keeping everything together. I could finally breathe, truly breathe for the first time in years. And then, one day, I received a message from Samira. It was short, a simple text that read, "We're sorry. We didn't understand. We've lost everything. Please talk to us." I stared at the screen, my heart oddly calm. There was no satisfaction in the message. No rush of triumph, just the quiet acceptance of a reality I had already come to terms with. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My parents never called me again. They had moved on, just as they had always done when things got tough. But this time there was no pretending. There was no escaping the truth they had tried to bury under layers of manipulation and guilt. They had pushed me away, and now they were left to face the consequences of their betrayal alone. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I needed to be. I wasn't living for anyone else. I wasn't sacrificing my own happiness for a family that didn't value me. I was living for myself, free from the chains of their expectations. And as I looked at the future, I couldn't help but feel a quiet satisfaction. I had let go of the family that had once meant everything to me. I had walked away, not with anger, but with dignity. And that was the true power I had taken back. I had finally chosen myself.